Hello everyone, welcome to ECE 113. We're now in week 3. So that means we are officially over halfway there. First of all, hey, great Pinterest postings. I always enjoy these. Some fantastic ideas that you guys are finding on Pinterest. And hey, feel free to work ahead if you've already got week 3 Pinterest assignment done. If you get some spare time, go ahead and do week 4 as well. It's a great way to get a little ahead in the course. Final project, 25 activity cards is of course going to be due in week 4. So I want to go over a activity card example. Here's one that has all the elements required. This one's animal tag. Let me get my little pointer out here. We've got animal tag is the name. This is card number 5. It is an outdoor game for primary age children. We've got the objectives. Teach safe tagging practices, important for the little ones. Develop hand-eye coordination, always important. Practice and learn animal skills, greatly loved. And increase fine and gross motor skills. So I think I pointed out in our last lecture that I'm looking for at least 3 to 5 objectives per card. So what are you going to learn from this game or this activity? The materials needed, a large outdoor play area, fantastic. We've got the source over here, www.playworks.org, and you're welcome to browse around this website because there are some fantastic activities that you could use in your final project. Playworks.org, go there. Length of time, 30 minutes. Overview, very important because we want to be able to see everything on the card needed. The goal is to turn everyone into the same animal as your group. Group children into 2 groups, assign each group to be a different animal. Once the game begins, all children should be making animal noises and trying to safely tag each other. And we call this a butterfly touch on the shoulder, not a slap, not a push, a butterfly touch on the shoulder. Once a child is tagged, he or she becomes the animal of the person that tagged her or him. The game continues until all children are the same animal. So it is wild and crazy and they're running around having a blast. Assessment. This game is very active and very noisy. The children really enjoyed it. Great energy user. So please use this as a fantastic example of an activity card and know that you need to have 25 of these. So start working on those pretty soon. Student question of the week. Can I use my book as a resource for the activity card final project? Yes, you can. You can use your book as a source for up to 10 of your activity cards. I would like you to find the other 15 elsewhere, maybe on the website, maybe on Pinterest. Maybe you're already at a center and you have an activity resource, so you could definitely use those as well. All right, let's look a little bit at Chapter 10 this week, physical development through the curriculum. When we look at physical development, we're mainly talking about gross motor development, which would be the large body muscles, fine motor skill development, those smaller muscles, we're going to talk about those in a minute, and sensory perceptual development. If we look at sensory perceptual development, this is basically the process in which the child develops the skill and ability to take in, interpret, and respond to information from the environment. And how do they do this? Through their eyes, their nose, their mouth, their ears, and through touch. So through the 5 senses, they're learning about their world and learning about their environment. Let's look at activities that promote fine motor skills I brought up before. In fine motor skills, we're talking about those fingers and those hands and even toes as well. Some fine motor skills projects we might use, almost any art where we're drawing or cutting or painting. These are very important skills to practice. Playing with clay or Play-Doh. So Play-Doh isn't just fun, it's building those fine motor skills. Very important. Puzzles, blocks, sensory tubs, anytime they're touching and moving things around. Sandboxes, water tables, which we had discussions, several of them on our discussion board this week. Turning the pages in the book is fine motor skills. Flanner boards, lacing cards, which used to be a thing of the past, but they're really coming back, where you take a shoestring and lace through a design on a card. Using a paper punch, making those little circles, little pieces of Chad, threading beads, using buttons, using pinchers to pick up different items and put them into a cup, anything that uses those little fine motor skills. Gross motor skills then, outdoor play, running around, jumping, active games, playground play, or we could also include gymnasium play if your center has a gym as well. Almost any sport is going to use those big muscles. Throwing and catching a ball, which is a big skill that takes a while to develop. Animal play, walk like an elephant, prowl like a tiger, crawl like a turtle. There's so many different things you can do. And of course, children always connect well with animals. Dancing, jumping, running, climbing through a fort tunnel or homemade obstacle course. Whenever I subbed at a little grade school nearby, they had these great hoops and bendable things that you could use to create an obstacle course, and you could change it every time you set it up. It was fantastic, and the kids loved it. So great resource. So let's talk a little bit about reflexive movement phases and how we develop some of these fine and gross motor skills. So if we look at reflexive movements, these are involuntary movements, and we're basically talking at about birth to about 1 year on some of them. So what we see is some of these reflexive movements just slowly die off, and they're replaced by more intentional movement. So instead of an infant moving their arm or leg and not even realizing it's attached to them, they begin to develop the ability to move that hand to grasp something, or move that leg to kick something, or just to touch it. It doesn't have to be a kick. So next we have rudimentary movement phase, reaching, grasping, and releasing objects, sitting, standing, and walking. About 1 to 2 years. So the child's gaining more and more control over their body. Fundamental movement phase, increased control of their gross and fine motor skills, running, jumping, throwing, catching. We should add balancing in there as well. Children in this phase first learn skills in isolation. So sort of on their own, they practice these skills. You might see a child jumping on their own, just working on that. And then they're able to bust out and do their jumping with other children or combine it with other skills. So we're generally looking at 2 to 3 years up to about 6 and 7 years that they're developing this these types of movements. And lastly, our specialized movement phase begins around about 7 years of age, continues through teenage years into adulthood. Increased control and coordination. In my personal opinion, 7 is a great age to start a little bit with more organized sports, or larger motor skills that require more coordination to help challenge the child. If we look at this sort of target design, you'll see that the center of the target is actually where the development begins. So if we look at the center of the target, you'll see infant on chest and head up by about 2 months of age. And you've probably noticed, or from talking to people with young children now, pediatricians are very big on infants getting tummy time, and being on their stomach helps strengthen their necks, develop the muscles needed for them to be able to raise their head. So it's a very big thing when they have tummy time and they're able to work those muscles they don't normally do. At about 6 to 8 months, we have them setting up and supporting themselves, so not with aid, being able to sit up on their own. Then we have at about 8 to 10 months, standing while holding on to something, and this always brings to mind me a coffee table, a child holding on to the coffee table. Creeping and crawling about 8 to 10 months. Now, important to note, sometimes you'll have a child that's walking by then too. Sometimes you'll have one that's still working on sitting and supporting themselves. So we can have a wide range. At about 11 to 12 months, walking when led, so otherwise holding on to mom or dad's hands while they're walking, moving those legs, moving those little calf muscles and those feet. And then by about 12 to 15 months, standing and walking on their own, which is of course our goal. However, again, we're going to see a variance in when this happens. 6 elements of body control: walking, running, jumping, hopping, throwing, and balancing. It's important that we provide opportunities for children to practice these in our different age groups. Manual control, looking at bigger muscles here, finer muscles here, voluntary hand and arm movements 1 to 3 months. So able to realize that they can reach towards something. Reaching for and grasping a nearby object 3 to 4 months. Pinch or grasp at about 9 months. So this is when they're actually able to pick things up using this muscle, that tiny muscle, as opposed to using the whole hand. They're able to use those fingers to grab smaller objects. And it's important that we provide opportunities for that as well. Begin taking off own clothes, placing objects inside each other, moving spoon to mouth, and scribbling at about 12 months. So that's when our artists can start to emerge, is around 12 months. Some things that we can do to help support physical development are having a great outdoor play area where they can run and climb and jump off things, of course the ones that are lower for the younger children, providing blocks for indoor or outdoor time. Any type of manipulatives or small toys are great. Comes to mind the little bears that we use for counting and grade school. Water and sand play is so important and required of most DHS licensed facilities. So you do have to plan for water and sand play because it's so beneficial. So in your summary, I would like for you to address these 2 questions. How would you support physical development when working with infants and toddlers? Just give me a few ideas. How would you support physical development when working with children with disabilities? And give me a few examples of a disability and how you could work with that child. Early childhood education programs should lay the foundation for good health and habits, and we've had a discussion board about this as well this week. We talked about the importance of physical exercise every day, the importance of nutrition, health, and safety, and self-care guidance every day. Again, we don't want this to be an occasional topic. We want this to be part of how they function every day at your center, and that you're constantly updating the information, giving them new information as they get a little bit older. And the ultimate goal then is for them to learn these wonderful things and then go home and share it with their family, because we're not just educating the child, we're educating the family as well. That's one of our great perks of our program. And lastly, any questions? If you have anything that you think of, please give me a call, Facebook me, email me. I'd be glad to help out. Thanks, guys. Have a great rest of your week.